or a tough transaction. I was all over the place. I didn't know what I was doing, but somehow I managed to sell it. And from selling that, I got the listing next door for 3.2 million, and I also got a buyer on that street, which I closed for 2.5 million also. So from that one review came $7.5 million worth of real estate transactions. So it was kind of a weird, chancy, lucky thing. But I think if you do enough things, like say if you do eight out of 10 things right, you have more chance of something sticking. Where if you're doing one, two, or three, there's just less probability, just like math, really, right? So that was kind of how it started from there. And that, by the way, that took me, I think, 14 months to do. I was doing a lot before that, and things were not working out. But I didn't know anybody, right? I didn't have any real friends or family here because I just moved. So it makes sense that it would take me longer to maybe make something happen. And I was so young too that it was I needed to learn my craft really. So that's how I started out right there. My from my Facebook to my Instagram to my Twitter, I always had a good relation with tech. So that's always really helped me out, and still to this day, I get business off of that, which was kind of my niche, I guess you could say, in the beginning was my the tech side, and then from there, it was just all grinding away, working hard. Honestly, I've never door knocked once. I used to cold call a lot, and I got a few deals from cold calling, but a lot of my stuff was just relationships with friends, making friends, um, thinking of different ways to get to sellers. Um, if you think about it, um, a listing goes expired. A lot of people tend to call that listing that's expired. So, the seller may be annoyed once you call them. There's a lot of other agents trying to get in the business. So you got to think about around ways of how you can directly get to people without them being frustrated. I think that was a big thing as well. I used to have like a folder that you get from the office and put some information inside it and drop it off personally at the door. I wouldn't necessarily speak to them at the door. I'd just drop it off, and then I would follow up a week later. Um, that way they've had time to initiate themselves with me, who I am. It's kind of a different way of doing it. That was like 7, 8 years ago now. But there was a theory there, and I linked up with a few investors through happen chance. Um, there was a hairdresser I knew who referred me, and this is just an example, okay, of how you never know what's around the corner from someone you meet, right? So I got a referral from a girl who, she had someone come in, they wanted to sell their townhouse in Encino, average townhouse, whatever. I was like, sure, I'll take it. So I went to meet her friend at the townhouse, and her boyfriend was there. And her boyfriend was a really cool guy, but her boyfriend was best friends with a famous musician. And I ended up creating a really good relationship, selling the townhouse. And he was like, hey, look, my friend, he's got a house in Hidden Hills. He's had some issues with it. It's a fixer. He needs to just get out of it. Can you help him out? And I was like, oh, great, sure, yeah. So I went in there. I looked at his house in Hidden Hills. I was like, this is a good fixer. I ended up, ironically, because he was so connected, he gave me the buyer. Like the investor goes, hey, my friend has a friend who likes to fix up homes in Hidden Hills. Can you just reach out to them, see if they want to buy it? So I got a listing, and then the owner actually gave me the buyer randomly. So I connected the buyer and ended up like doing both sides. It was completely like a random situation. From that situation, I met an investor from that investor who gives me all of his stuff now. So I get like probably at least anywhere from 10 to 14 deals from this investor a year. And through that investor, I've met other investors. None of that would have came about unless it was just from a simple little referral for a townhouse from a hairdresser, you know? So I think we always think like big picture, like massive marketing, or we always think like we got to do these really big steps in order to get to some kind of point in business, which technically is true. You know, you got to work hard, you got to be smart with your marketing, but sometimes you just never know around the corner who you're going to meet, and you know how that relationship's going to work out, and who the person you're working with knows. You really don't. So you know, you could have a simple little friend who's selling a house, condo somewhere, who's got a relationship with a business manager, who's got a relationship with the CPA, and if they like you, or if they can bond with you on a friendly level, they're going to want to work with you business wise too. And so I would just keep that mindset of, you know, we always try and connect the dots to get to being the biggest agent in an area, or to spending the most on marketing. But sometimes it really doesn't have to be about that. It just has to be about your relationships, and you know, keeping everybody in a transaction very happy. Because if you keep them very happy, they're going to be more keen on referring you business, and they're going to want to tell their friends about you. They're going to want to like become friends with you, and through that, you could just get literally a list of referrals. And I'm kind of different because I've never farmed an area ever. I'm all over the place. Like I just sold two last week, one in Santa Monica, one in Westchester, and I know those areas and over the hill so well now. Um, and just you just never know. You know, that's kind of my story right there. And I I've started doing some projects of my own now, um, with my business partner, and so I've diversified a little bit, and everything's going really well. And that's basically my story, you know. But I think consistency is everything. I think if you're not consistent, like how can you expect anything to work, right? I think we go into things thinking we're going to see in 1 to 3 months everything's going to turn around, and then if it doesn't, we get kind of, you know, our trajectory gets thrown off, and then we want to try something else because we're getting kind of frustrated. But the truth is, it could work for somebody in the first month, it could work for somebody else in the 12th month. You just never know. But if you stay consistent, um, you should be able to get it up and running at some point. But consistency, I think, is pretty key.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much. That's so awesome. And you know, because everybody does have a different what do you say trajectory, right? Or how long it takes to get your first check. But you were determined for sure, right, to be a success, and that real estate was your calling, so to speak, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think I. Well, the funny thing is, I was planning to farm and market and do all this stuff and choose an area, and then by happenstance, I fell into a completely different category without realizing it. And when I was in it, I was like, all right, I'm going to focus on this one now. And ever since then, it's been great, you know. And I'm
Yeah.
still, yeah. So, you know, originally, if you said me, you know, getting into real estate, I wanted to market Calabasas. I wanted to do Calabasas. I wanted to make myself all about that. And then randomly, I ended up in Malibu. Randomly, I ended up with that townhouse in Tarzana. Randomly, ended up in like Hidden Hills. Now I'm all over. And now I get referrals from friends on Facebook who I've never met. I get referrals through other friends who have connections, and and so on. And what I think one other thing I want to mention on that is it's so important now, especially with Facebook and Instagram, that before someone decides to call you or work with you, sometimes they all 9 times out of 10 Google you, right? So they'll put your number in, they'll put your phone number in Google, they'll put your name in Google. They want to see what comes up. They want to see social media wise what's going on for you. They want to kind of relate to you through social media, which is going to help them want to pick up the phone and call you, or make that decision in their mind that they're okay working with you. So you should have your social media looking very professional. If you don't have a ton of listings or a ton of product, that doesn't really matter. What matters is you have a sharp headshot. Your banner on your Facebook is a really cool property. So you just want to give the image that you're professional and that you know what you're doing, even if you're starting out and you necessarily don't. It's all about perception. You know, it really is about perception. That's LA, right? I mean, it doesn't mean it's necessarily right, but that's just the business we're in. So make sure your social media is up to par. When they Google you, it's up to par, because you don't want to do all this hard work and, you know, bust your ass. And next thing, you know, they Google you and they're just, you know, you flatline kind of thing, and that stops them from calling you, or it stops them from making the next step. So it's really important to get your social media, to get your online presence looking as perfect as possible.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. So Jordan, quick question for you, because I definitely want to talk a little bit more about the social media aspect, because you're definitely great at it. I mean, I love all your different pictures, and you keep it professional, and then you have fun in there as well. You have a great mix, right? But it's always consistent. So kind of what's your ratio? What ratio do you use, or do you just whatever you're feeling at that time? Do you have a specific system that you do for your social media, or kind of how do you determine what you're going to do?
Right. So I would remember this. Oops, sorry about that. Yeah, must have seen a squirrel. So I would just remember this, right? If you have friends on social media, I'm going to break it down for you in terms of like your account and who you're friends with. Then I'll break it down for what the public can see. So every time you're on social media now, what they've done is, if you want to be friends with somebody, but you're not really interested in seeing their information. Hold on a second. Let me just, hey, I'm gonna go inside for a second.
Good morning.
Hey man, how's it going? Just the pool guy. All right, 2 seconds here. So so in social media now, basically you can if you're friends with somebody, they can remove you. They can be friends with you, but they can remove you from their timeline. So if you post something, they never have to see it again. So you don't want to oversaturate your Facebook or your Instagram with too much information of the same thing. Somebody may decide, you know what, I don't want to see this no more. I don't want to see another open house. I don't want to see another whatever. I'm going to remove you from my feed. I'll still be friends with you, but I don't want to see anything from you again. And that's exactly what you don't want to happen. Else you're just going to start posting things and no one's going to look at it. So quality of what you post is important. I try and do one in every 4 posts could be real estate related, maybe 1 in every 3. You know, residential people, you know, tend to want to bond with their agent, have someone familiar in things and interests they like, where I think commercial is more cold, it's more business, it's more numbers. So, you know, it's very direct kind of marketing there. Where residential, it's like, for example, oh, nice, just sold a house, next picture, walking a dog, you know, down the park. I can associate with that. Everybody loves dogs. That's cool. Out at a nice restaurant, oh, that's nice. Out at the beach, that's cool. Just sold a home, you know, just kind of in that pattern right there. So you're almost showing them you're a real estate agent, but you're also showing them you're a cool person too, and you have similar interests that they do, and which makes them want to work with you, or maybe message you or reach out to you. Where if it's constantly just sold, just listed, just sold, open house, price reduction, back on market, whatever, it's kind of cold, and you know, they can't really relate to you, right? So you kind of want to space it out and kind of like do 1 in every 3, 1 in every 4 posts, maybe real estate related, but also if you're at a restaurant, if you're at King's Fish House in Calabasas, just check in, write something delicious, right? I'm having food at King's with some friends, drinks, whatever. It almost is like, I sell real estate. I like to hang out at nice places when I'm not. I'm also heading to the beach next day. Then I just sold something the following week. So it's like a nice layered piece of marketing, really. Then you get more interaction as well. You get more comments, you get more likes, you get, you know, you just get different interaction, but people can relate to you. When they can relate to you, they're more likely to reach out to you also. So social media wise, that's important. And I also think, and I do it before I meet a client now, right? If I get a listing or if I get a referral, I literally will put in Facebook and Google and Instagram that client's name so I can see what their interests are. So when I meet them, I can kind of, without them knowing, I can kind of say, hey, like if I know they're big into yoga, I'll bring something up about yoga. And they'll be like, oh, hey, you're into yoga too? Not that I'm into yoga, but you've already profiled them. So you can kind of sell them better. You can kind of affiliate more with them. And that's really kind of what I do a lot is before I go into something now, and most people do have social media, you can kind of gauge their interests, whether it's from religion, whether it's from politics, whether it's from whatever. Because if you have a profile going into the listing, into meeting the client, you already know more about them than they think you know. So then you can easily sell them more and relate to them, and then that helps you get the deal. So information is key. You know, what Facebook, for example, the way they make some money is because they have all our data, right? They know what we like, they know what we tick on. And you're no different. If you can get information on a client before you meet them, it just helps you sell them easier. You know, helps you relate to them more. So you got to think outside the box like that and kind of sell them. That's what real estate is. You got to sell people, and by relating to them, you can do that.
I love that. That is true, because a lot of times we forget to do it, you know, because we know that people are vetting us, right? And like you said, it's really important for us to vet them as well, because it makes it so much easier. So that was, you know, even though we know that, but that was another big aha, right? Like, oh yeah, let's make sure that it's, you know, that we keep that cycle going and do the best that we can. So I have a question for you, Jordan. What are you still mining your database the same that when you first got in, you know, just keep building it up? You know, you started obviously at 0 coming here to the country, and then how many are in your database right now, and what's your system for your database?
So I actually use Constant Contact right now, and it's pretty good for me. It works. I have about probably 7,000 people in there in total. You know, people, here's another thing, like people are always going to unsubscribe, you know, don't ever get like upset that someone unsubscribes. That's just the way it is. People don't always want to hear about it. They just don't. But no, my database goes really well. I actually do probably maybe like one post, one email shout out every 25 to 40 days. I don't oversaturate it with too many, because I know a lot of people, especially busy people, tend to unsubscribe. So if you've got like a lawyer on there, or a CPA, or any kind of like person who tends to be very busy, if you send them too many things, even twice a month could be too many. They may just unsubscribe, not on purpose, but just because they're so busy themselves. So you gotta be very careful about how many times you email people per month. If you think about somebody who's in insurance, for example, and if they email you twice a month, and right now you're not really into insurance, you're probably going to have a higher probability they may just unsubscribe from that. So make sure you don't send out too much stuff in a short time period, and make sure the post is quality, right? I always think a just sold or a coming soon is pretty good to send out. Sending out stuff like an open house, kind of, you got to be careful who you send that to, over and over again. So sphere of influence, you can normally send as many things as you want because they won't unsubscribe. But any kind of vendors or business affiliates, those are the type of people you want to refrain from sending too much to, unless it's really quality stuff. So
that's awesome. 7,000. So the compound effect, right? You just kept at it. I love it.
Yeah, and I'll tell you this, because I used to back in the day, I used to be the director of technology, and new agents that would come in, I would show them how to use the KW database, how to build a website, all that kind of stuff. And the number one thing people would always not do or forget to do or would just put to the back of their mind as their database. You know, think about if you go out and you meet somebody, you meet people at open house, or you meet somebody, you know, at the gym, or every time you meet somebody, you should try and get their email, their phone number, within reason, of course. And oh, Rosenberg. So your database really is your business. If you don't have it, if you don't have contacts, you don't have their information, what is your business, right? How can you get to people? So you should always be filling your database full of people every week and putting them into categories: buyers, sellers, sphere of influence, vendors, business affiliates. Whatever categories you need for your business, you break it down and you add people to those categories. Then once you create an email blast, or you create a just sold, you attach that group to the flyer and send it out, right? So you can market each group differently if you wanted to. A lot of people forget to do this, or it just skips their mind. Or, you know, if you go, like I say, if you go to any kind of gym class or Soul Cycle and you make friends in there, well, that's a whole class, including the Soul Cycle instructor, he or she themselves, that could be in your database, that couldn't know you're doing real estate. You know, I went to a retreat this last weekend and I made 3 or 4 friends, and I've connected with them all. They've all gone right in the database. And I would say this also, like, a database doesn't have to just be constant contact. Your Facebook can be your database, right? Like, you add them on Facebook, you know, if they don't want to accept you, they don't have to, but at least you sent the request out and eventually they could add you to their Facebook friends. I think I've got over 4,000 now. And, you know, once they're on there, they know you're in real estate. They'll say, oh, like, it's Jordan. He's my gym friend. You know, he likes to hang out with his dog, or he likes to go to a restaurant. He sells real estate. Oh, look, he's on vacation. Great. He's at another restaurant. Oh, he just sold another piece of real estate. But if you do that over time, they affiliate you with a lifestyle and selling real estate. Just like if we get mail through the door that is pizza guy, right? I don't want a pizza, throw it out. I don't want a pizza, throw it out. Eventually, you're going to want a pizza. And where's that flyer gone? So that's kind of the same. It's just keeping a repetition, reminding them you're in real estate, you share a similar lifestyle, and when the time is right, they can reach out to you because you're always in the background reminding them. So that's really how psychology of database works. And it's free. If you think about it, you know, you have to pay for it. You have to pay monthly for like constant contact, but it's like $100, but it's really free marketing. And if you build it up, it's your business. And that's where a lot of your stuff comes from. So I think a lot of people need to focus more on that. Because that's really what worked for me. And I have a big database now, and constant referrals coming in, constant business and all that stuff and so on. So yeah.
That's awesome. And you totally broke it down. You made such a simple analogy, and just you make the database and your Facebook and all that stuff simple, right? Because we all have a tendency to complicate it, except for Jordan. You just
I think people really overthink it a lot. You know, it seems like so much information, but yeah, if you break it down, it's getting organized. You know, you've got to get organized. And I say to people, once you get your database sorted out, you can then go on to the next step. If you never figure that part out, you're just going to be all over the place trying to manage little things, and it just becomes a mess. You know, you get your database, you put people into categories, you start adding people on social media, you present your social media in a way which is professional. Once you've done that, you then move on to the next step, which is if you want to go down the farming area, if you want to go to the door knocking, if you want to go to the cold calling, because you don't want to cultivate a lead from door knocking, cold calling, or farming, and then they look you up and then they realize you don't present the image that they necessarily aligned you with, and then you just wasted all your time. So yeah, it's very important to do that.
It totally makes sense. There was a question there from Edric, said, does Jordan utilize YouTube in his marketing mix?
You know what? I have not utilized YouTube. I believe YouTube can be great if it's done right. I have a couple of friends who do it. But from what I understand, I think YouTube, if you can get it going, can be really great. I think it's more of a tutorial YouTube right now, as far as, here's 5 steps to selling your home, and that engages people, right? Here's 5 ways to get started in real estate. That engages people. I just haven't seen necessarily the leads coming from home buyers and sellers from YouTube and my friends who do it. It doesn't mean you can't do it. Like I say, a great area to cover if you can get it, if you can do it correctly. But I don't utilize it myself.
All right, very good, thank you. Hey, Minnie, do you have any questions for Jordan or Alan?
Yes. Yes. Hey, mate.
Hey.
So actually, it's over here. Here's a question. So you're really conquered, right? Pretty fast. Went to a place where a lot of people want to be, or getting there, like after many years in a very short period of time, right?
Wow.
If there's someone that right now is a newer in the business, or someone who's working to maybe reinvent themselves based on the market conditions or whatever, share 3 key, I guess, mindset or elements, or maybe a keyword that define Jordan today. So if you're starting all over again, what would you focus on? 3 things.
Very easy. So number 1 is, when I joined KW Calabasas, I picked out certain agents I wanted to be like. I was like, I chose, I believe at the time, I think one of them was Lisa Gutman, and there was a couple others, I can't remember who, because they did luxury real estate. And I wanted to be like them. That was kind of, that's who I wanted to be, right? I wanted to sell nice homes. I wanted to be on that level. So I kind of looked at their website. I looked at them. I followed them around for a little bit. And I just wanted to plagiarize, basically, I think that's the biggest thing. I had to see somebody who I wanted to look up to and be on that level. And most of what we do in life, I think, we learn from people who've been there and done it. So this is no different. Of course, you can add your own ideas, you can make new ideas, but for the most part, if you shadow or look at somebody who's in a place where you want to be, you start to learn their mannerisms, you start to learn their kind of their business formula, how they talk, how they present themselves, their knowledge, their marketing, their look. And I just plagiarized it, basically. And I think that was really important for me. And the second part that came with that was mindset. I think your mindset's really, really important. I think if you have an understanding that you're growing a business, and it could take, some people it could take a couple months, some people it could take a year, you just don't know. But if you can have a good enough mindset with an understanding of where you want to be and imagine yourself there, and you work hard enough and you stay consistent, you'll start going towards that place. So mindset and choosing somebody, or choosing a couple of people that would be like kind of where you would want to reach. That's kind of what I did, those 2 things right there. The third one, I guess the third one would be really utilize your sphere of influence when you're starting out. I mean, these are people that know you. I had a couple good friends that were actually older, weren't my age, and I became friends with them on a personal level, and then they wanted to give me deals. They wanted to help me out. Right. So I would say your sphere of influence, your friends and family, these are people that know you, that can probably help you out the most to start with. And once you have product, it's very, you get some momentum going, and you can market that product, and you can then take it to the next level. there's agents in our office who use my listings, for example, to take videos and do walkthroughs and for their own social media and stuff. And I'm like, sure, go ahead, use it. I don't know if Nina's here, but Nina often does some videos at a couple of my properties and puts it on her social media. And I think we all want to help each other out and that kind of thing. So those 3 points I mentioned would kind of be maybe a building block, well, they were for me anyway. So
Yeah, and I can add the fourth one is the British accent, right?
that's what they say.
With an accent, yeah. No, but thanks for sharing, because it's really just the principles, right, of success that you can hear from every person who, reach some kind of level in their personal life or career.
Right.
It's pretty much repetitive. It's just find a mentor, someone to like an idol, and get into the mindset, and then implement what you learn with the people that you are around you. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I think so. I think find somebody who, you see where you want to be and see what they're doing and learn their skill set, or, just try to mirror what they're doing to some part. So, yeah.
And there's one more thing I can personally add, say about Jordan, right, is that you truly one of those guys that don't look for shortcuts. Jordan is a guy that will, believe that the grass is greener where you water it, right? Like, never look what's over there, what's over here, this jacket, that jacket. Is like, what do I need to do to make it work? And you've been proven throughout the years that that's what it is. And once again, you go in places. It's pretty incredible to see in such short period of time.
Well, I appreciate it, and hopefully it will continue that way.
Exactly. Thank you, Jordan.
Yeah, so awesome. And I think too, if any, there's so many takeaways from what you share. So absolutely appreciate it, and grateful for it. And one of the things that you said at the very beginning was just being consistent and persistent, right? And that's what you've been doing. You're just like, okay, no matter what, this is what I do every single day. This is my job.
Yeah, I remember the first summer I spent in real estate was just doing open houses every weekend. I didn't really do anything apart from that. And, I really did bust a lot in the beginning because I had to, so. But like I say, sphere of influence as well. If a lot of you have it, you should tap into that. And even if it's a small deal or a big deal, it's a deal, right? So take whatever you can and build it from there.
Yeah, because you never know, like you said, you never know where it's going to take you.
Exactly, it's true.
All right. Well, does anybody have any questions for Jordan before we let him go relax back by the pool? Are we all good? Oh, so Edric, are you paying for any ads on social media?
No, I'm not actually. No, I know people, like, once again, I know agents who do. I think paying for leads, that it's over time it works, but like if you do it for like 6 months, it's almost like going to Vegas and playing roulette, I think, because people know now that when they click on something, their information is going to go to somebody who's going to call them. And I think 50% of like the social media leads are people that are browsing, if that makes sense, that could eventually turn into buyers. So if that is, from my understanding, that is the case, you got to keep that lead in your database and cultivate it over time, because they may not be ready now. They can be ready in 6 months or 8 months, but they will be ready at some point. So I think a lot of it is that, but I do know people who've got instant success from it too. But I think it's kind of, it's random. It's not guaranteed. So I don't personally do it, but it's definitely something you can look into.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you, Jordan. I know we went over a little bit, but really appreciate, well, that's why the cameras are here, but I really appreciate everything, you jumping on this morning and sharing your story, and just really words of inspiration and motivation for myself and everybody else on the call. So thank you. And and just so grateful to be in business with you and keep knocking it out of the park, Jordan.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
And hopefully we get to go to Austin again soon.
Yeah, definitely. Let's do it.
Cancun? Are we doing Cancun? Hopefully that will be October. So,
I'm ready.
all right, everybody. Make it a powerful day and happy Friday. Thanks, Jordan.
Cheers.